Hey everybody, welcome to the Get Social Smart Academy demo webinar. I'm Katie Lance. Welcome. So happy to have you here with us today. Welcome. As you guys are joining in live, would love to say hi. Would love to make sure that you can hear me okay. So as you guys are tuning on in, comment in the chat, say hi. Let me know that my sound's coming through loud and clear, that you can see my screen, and let me know where you're tuning in from. Would love to say hi, give you a shout out. I am excited for our time here together today. We've had a lot of folks sign up, so welcome. We're going to have a lot of fun. We are going to go for about an hour today. Everything's recorded, so if you missed something or you want to watch it back, or you need to leave early, everything will be recorded. We are hosting this Zoom webinar style, which means I'm on camera and you're not, which is great, right? So if you have questions, you can always put those in the chat. But as always, I always say with all of our webinars, give yourself the gift of your presence as you're with us here today. I know it's really easy when you're on a webinar and you're not on camera to multitask, but close out your other windows and tabs and feel free to take notes, feel free to take pictures of the slides, and we're going to have a lot of fun here today. So again, welcome as you guys are joining in. Comment in the chat, say hi, let me know where we're tuning in from. Hello, Missy. Wise Marketing's in the house. Good to see you. Hello, Sybil. Hello, Lisa. Bill Stone is here. Welcome. He can hear me crystal clear. Fantastic. Missy's tuning in from Clovis. Awesome. I've got some family out there. That's fantastic. Hello, Craig, tuning in from Rentham, Massachusetts. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Welcome. Good to see you. You are probably on late afternoon time. I know it's we usually do our webinars earlier in the day, but we're kind of doing it in sort of lunch afternoon time. So welcome wherever you're tuning in from. Hello, Cindy. Good to see you from Alexander City. Rose is in the house from also Newton, Massachusetts. Amy's here from Plano, Texas, Dallas area. Fantastic. Awesome. Well, I am super excited to see you guys all here today. Like I said, this is going to be recorded. So if you miss anything and you have to leave early, it's all good. So the purpose of this webinar today is to give you a little sneak peek into what the Get Social Smart Academy is all about. I would imagine if you are tuning in, you are connected to me somehow. We are possibly connected on social media. Maybe you might be on our email list. You might have seen me speak at a class, or you've tuned into one of our webinars. However you have gotten here, we are appreciative that you're here today. And our academy is something that we've been running for years and years. It is our membership site. And it's really, I like to periodically throughout the year do a little bit of a demo behind the scenes to share what's included, who's it for, is it right for you? And so we're going to have a lot of fun. And then I'm also going to share some tips at the end today for making the most out of your fall in terms of social media. So we've got a lot we're going to cover today. Hello, Pamela. Good to see you from Austin, Texas. Welcome. I just wanted to start with a couple quick things about me and my background. I would imagine that like I said, I'm probably connected to many of you on social media. And if you happen to remember how you first heard about me, I would love if you'd put it in the chat. Did you first see me on stage? Did you first find me on Facebook or Instagram? Did you first, I don't know, maybe attended a webinar? If you can remember. I know oftentimes I don't even remember how I'm connected with other folks, but if you happen to remember how you connected with me or how you met me, would love to hear that. And I only ask that because I've had the pleasure of speaking and working with hundreds of different brands and amazing companies over the years. You can see a few of those logos on the screen here, but we've been in business now for almost 13 years. I work side by side with my husband, Paul. We've been married 23 years, been in business almost 13 years. We have 2 teenage boys who keep us very busy. By the way, that's an old picture of us as I'm looking at that picture. They are much taller than me now. I'm a speaker, I'm an author. I wrote a best-selling book a few years back, Get Social Smart. I wrote a follow-up, Get Social Smart 18-month planner about a year and a half ago. And so I share that with all of you just to say that we are really a big believer in work hard, play hard. We really feel like, especially for myself, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a business owner. I really don't think when it comes to social media, it's not the end all and be all. It's not the silver bullet, but when done right, it can make a really big difference in your business. And I was just chatting with a few different brands recently for a couple upcoming speaking engagements we have coming up. And, one of the biggest compliments that anyone can give me is I love when someone walks away from one of our trainings or maybe from seeing me on stage and saying something like, wow, okay, now I feel like I can do it. You know, wow, I felt really overwhelmed, but wow, you make it really easy to understand. And that's something that I feel like is perhaps, I don't know, maybe a superpower, but something I'm really passionate about, because I think when it comes to social media, I don't think it should be stressful. I don't think it should be all consuming. I don't think anyone got into real estate to work 24/7 or to be a full-time social media person. And so I'm really passionate about kind of cutting through the clutter and cutting through the noise, and there's more noise than ever before. I'm just looking at the chat. Dave says we met in Chicago. Awesome. Dave, good to see you. I'm happy to have you here. Lisa says Inman, may have been Instagram, says Craig. Someone referred to your YouTube. Okay, cool. Talisha. Rosa says my awesome colleague Ed Gibson Sotheby's told me about you. Oh, fantastic. Awesome. Thank you for that. Tell Sean, thank you. I appreciate that. We always love referrals. So yeah, like I said, our philosophy is work hard, play hard. We're in this for the long term. We know social media has changed quite a bit over the past 13 years we've been in business. But what hasn't changed is that relationships are really important. So many of the folks we work with, it's all about people. It's all about building relationships. Social media never replaces a handshake or meeting someone in person. But when done right, it can only be better. It can only improve that relationship. And really, when it comes to our philosophy, and I just share this because if you're considering working with me or any other coach or trainer, I think it's really important to align yourself with people who have a similar philosophy in work and life and business. And really, when I think about our philosophy with social media, with real estate, with content creation, it really boils down to a few things. Time is our most precious asset, right? Again, time is all we have. And so one of the reasons we started our academy was because we know that someone could spend hours Googling stuff and nowadays chat GPTing stuff. But sometimes it really is a lot more effective with your time to work with someone who is an expert in their field. Like if I had to, hey, heaven forbid, if I had to have brain surgery, sure, I could Google a ton of stuff, I could chat GPT stuff, but that's never going to replace talking to an expert, right? And I know you feel that as a realtor. I feel that as a social media strategist. Time is our most precious asset. So when I think of our academy, what we do is we don't teach everything. I don't teach every time Facebook has a new update or there's a new button, on TikTok. I think it's really important to have someone to be able to look at all the different things that are going on and then be able to teach those and say, hey, here's what are some of the most important things that are going to help you move the needle forward in your business. So that's first and foremost. Secondly, we really believe in work hard, play hard. I don't think any of you got into business to work 24/7. I know I didn't. So that's a big philosophy. And we tie that into how we teach social media as well. Number three, I don't think you have to do it all. I don't think you have to be on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Pinterest, Twitter, X. I don't think you have to be on all these platforms. I think you need to pick one or two that you enjoy and that your clients are on. That being said, I also really believe that social media is rented ground. And I don't have this on the screen, but that might be a great thing to write down if you're taking notes. Social media is rented ground. We don't own it. And I have really been reminded of that over the last year or so. We've seen a lot of changes in Meta. We've seen changes in TikTok. There's a lot of uncertainty. And so you want to own your content, which is a big thing we teach in the academy. How do you do that? How do you create a smart content strategy that works for you, that goes with you, regardless of platform, regardless of where you're at in your brokerage? Also, how to build your database, which I think is super important as well. Number four, social media shouldn't be complicated and it shouldn't be the end all and be all. It's one piece of your marketing. It is a part of your marketing, just like phone calls or thank you notes, or if you do door knocking or you do any other lead generation, it's one important piece, but it's not necessarily the end all and be all. And number five, it doesn't replace FaceTime. It's one of the reasons why I love speaking in person at events. There's nothing like taking the online offline, right? We know when it comes to social media, like for example, Facebook, you could go on Facebook right now and there might be 10 people whose birthday it is today. And you could write happy birthday, HBD, or you could be the one person that calls them, right? Or reaches out to them. So we really look at social media as kind of a bridge in that gap, which I think is key. So today, like I said, we've got kind of three big objections. I'm going to take you behind the scenes of the Get Social Smart Academy so you can see, if you're a member, what that looks like, what's included, and like how to navigate it, all that good stuff. I'm going to share a little bit behind the scenes of like what's next, what's coming up. We also have a really special bonus. So shameless plug, special bonus offer at the end. So stay tuned to the end. You're not going to want to miss that. And then at the end, the last few minutes, I'm going to share with you some of my favorite strategies we're working on right now and we're teaching in the academy. I've got 10 fall strategies. We're going to wrap up our time here together today. Again, if you have questions or anything, feel free to put that in the chat. So I want to just start and ask you really quick. I've got a couple questions on the screen here. And as you read these over, I would love to know if you've ever said this or if you've ever felt this. If any of this resonates with you, just type yes or no in the chat. You may have thought some of these things. I know I have. Things like, why is nobody seeing my content? Has the algorithm changed again? This is so frustrating and overwhelming. Do I really need to be everywhere? I didn't get into real estate to be a full-time social media person. If you've ever felt any of that or thought any of that, type in the chat yes or no. And I would imagine probably a lot of you have felt that way. It's a little bit of a loaded question because we know that a lot of folks who have come to us in the academy often have said this or thought this. I get questions all the time. I get DMs all the time going, Katie, I don't understand. Like, I'm posting, people aren't seeing my content. Like, what has changed again? Like, I'm super frustrated. I don't want to spend 3 hours editing a video. Do I actually have to be on 6 different platforms? Like, and so this is part of why we created the academy, was to have kind of a one-stop shop where we could help agents and brokers fight that overwhelm and also create systems that work for them. I'm going to share a couple success stories today of folks that we've worked with. And I think the beautiful part about the folks we've worked with is it's not a cookie cutter. You know, we've got hundreds of members in the academy and they're all doing it a little bit differently because everyone's different. Everyone has a different personality. Every market's different. And so I don't really believe in like this cookie cutter, one size fits all. I think it's really valuable to be able to say, okay, here are some things that are working. Here are my recommendations, but what's going to work for you and your business and your market, because every market's different. I'm seeing in the chat, Sybil says yes, Craig says yes, lots of yeses, Cindy, Ronald, Lisa, yes, for sure. By the way, if you just joined us, welcome. We just got started and we're recording this. So if you missed the beginning, we'll send that recording out later today. So we all know that social media can be overwhelming in a lot of ways, but we also know it's changed a lot. It has changed tremendously just in the last like 6 to 12 months. And not only social media, but searchability. Have you guys noticed this? Have you noticed when you're searching something on Google that often you are seeing an AI search first before you're even seeing regular results? And I went into Google just 2 days ago and I did a Google search for myself. I put, who's great at teaching social media for real estate? And I was like, cross my fingers, please say I showed up. And I figured I would, considering I put a lot of work into, making sure that I show up in not just Google, but also in AI. And I did show up, which you can see is sort of the overview. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to sign out on my Google account and actually do it where I'm not signed in. So I signed out, did the same thing, and I popped up again. And I'm not sharing that to say, oh, look at me, let me pat myself on the back, but I'm sharing that because when it comes to how do you show up, not just on the first page of Google, but how do you show up in AI, a big part of that has to do with content and what you're putting out into the world and sharing helpful, valuable content. It can't just be just listed, just sold, and open houses, which is important. That's part of your brand. But there's another big part of it, which is sharing helpful content related to your specific market. And that's a big thing that we're teaching right now. And this is a big shift that we've shifted in our training really over the last few months, and that we're going to continue to over the next, few months, if not longer. And part of the reason for this is everything is Googleable, right? Or everything is sort of ChatGPTable, right? We see this all the time, not just in real estate. People are Googling, people are ChatGPTing. And there's a lot of text on the screen here, but I thought this was really important. This is a great thing to take a picture of if you're, maybe sharing anything to social media. By the way, feel free to share anything if you want to take a picture and post and tag me. I'm going to hop on social later. Would love to connect with you. But here's the truth. People will hire you, not just because of your knowledge, but because you are an expert and you can offer personalized guidance that they can't find on Google or ChatGPT. And I know I feel this deeply. I know when it comes to social media training, in a lot of ways, I'm competing with Google and ChatGPT because you could just go on there and say, hey, come up with a social media strategy for a real estate agent, for sure. But what's missing in that is that personalized expertise, the years, the decades of experience. And it's the same thing with you. Clients or prospects can Google, can ChatGPT, what's the value of my home, or how do I, sell my home quickly? but nothing's going to replace working with someone like you. And that's the difference. And then how does that translate to content? So you know this, right? But you can offer them that quote unquote cheat code to getting more what they need to get done faster, more efficient, and also saving money, because money's the name of the game. And you become the solution to cut through the noise. And one of the big things we teach in the academy is how do we take your expertise? How do we take the way you cut through the noise? How do we take your expertise and then translate that to content that people can see on social media? Because it's one thing for someone to work with you in person and go, oh my gosh, Julie's amazing. Like I would totally refer her, which is great. But you also want to be able to share that story and share your expertise and share that publicly on social. So you're attracting people. When you do this on a regular basis, when you get away from just posting just listed, just sold open houses, when that's part of your content, but when a bigger part of your content is sharing things that are helpful, sharing things that are, educational, so to speak, or helpful for buyers or sellers or your community, what happens over the course of time is you start to get seen more. People start to say things like, oh my gosh, I see you everywhere. I feel like I know you. I feel like you're in my head. And the leads you get from content are so much better, right? The leads you get are so much better. You start to attract business versus chasing leads, right? Attract business versus chasing leads, which is huge. Now, a big part of that is nobody wants what's called a blank slate. And I wanted to include this in my webinar here today because I was scrolling, as we all do, through social media recently, scrolling through videos, and there was a video. Now, I love Broadway. I don't know if any of you are into Broadway or live shows. I'm a huge, probably tell I'm a huge Hamilton fan. I'm a huge Broadway fan. And so I get a lot of content in my feed related to Broadway, even though I'm not an actor, of course. So I saw a video recently of a casting director, and they were saying, if you are an actor and you're auditioning as a casting director, we don't want to see a blank slate. We don't want to see like, hey, I could do anything you want. We want you to pick a position, stick with it, and commit to it. And I thought that's so interesting because that really relates to how I think about social media and how I think about content. And when I look at the agents and brokers that we work with in the academy that are getting business from social media, meaning people are contacting them, they're reaching them on Instagram saying, hey, I see you, I want to work with you. Those kind of people do not work with quote unquote everyone. They're not like everyone's cup of tea. They're typically people who have a pretty strong opinion one way or the other. They have shared that opinion professionally on social media. They've said, hey, look, if my mom was selling a house, this is what I would tell her versus, hey, here's one tip for getting your home ready for the market, right? It's like that difference between just being sort of like, I could do it all, being kind of vanilla versus like leaning into who you are and being a little bit more personal, sharing your hot takes, sharing maybe something, what is no one else saying in your market, your special something that nobody else has. And it's a little nerve-wracking because we want to appease everyone. We don't want to offend anyone. I'm certainly not saying we start offending people, but there's something to be said about leaning into who you are and who you're not. I have a good friend of mine who often says, she's like, I know I'm not everyone's cup of tea, but I might be somebody's shot of tequila. And I love that, right? You may not be everyone's cup of tea, but you might be somebody's shot of tequila. Rob says, did you see Moulin Rouge? Yes, I love Moulin Rouge. It's an awesome show. So bring your opinion, bring your hot takes. This is I think a huge thing. Okay, so I promised you a little behind the scenes sneak peek into the academy. I wanted to kind of set the stage for our philosophies and some of what we're thinking about in terms of content and training, give you a little sneak peek. So let's go into what the academy looks like. And I'm going to go through pricing and stuff like that in just a minute. Once you become a member, and by the way, you can sign up monthly or yearly. We have 2 different prices. I'll share that in a minute. Once you're a member, what happens is we send you an email with your login and password, and then you can log in and access. So let me go ahead and pull up my screen so you can see exactly what this looks like. You should be able to see this okay. If you can't, let me know in the chat. So once you log in, you're going to see a screen that looks like this, and you're going to click on Get Social Smart Academy. And this is kind of our home base, so to speak, our home dashboard. And as a member, it's really simple. It kind of breaks down to a couple things. I'm actually going to scroll down right here because there's just kind of a simple way to sort of show you exactly what's included. So again, you can have access monthly or yearly. And there's really kind of 3 big things. So first off, when you first become a member, you can use this left-hand menu over to the side to access any of our past trainings. We have a whole library of past content. It's kind of like Netflix, right? You can, as a Netflix user, you can log in and access everything. You're probably not going to watch everything unless you're like, some sort of power user, right? Just like you would never watch anything, everything in your Netflix library. I always recommend, as a new member, you're going to start with what is happening first, or what's the most recent. And for us, our most recent class is actually coming up. We have a content strategy masterclass that's coming up in 2 days. We host masterclasses every single month for our Academy members. And the masterclasses we sell separately also, so people can purchase those separately. This is a 90-minute in-depth masterclass, and we host all of our classes live. But for any of our members who can't make it, they can always catch the replay. So I always recommend for members, start with what is most recent. That's a great place to start. And then also, each week we have a weekly coffee with Katie. So I do this every Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern. It's a 1-hour training where we talk about a specific topic. Every month in the Academy, we have a theme. So this last month, this month that we're in right now, August, it's been all about strategy and content strategy and repurposing. July was about Canva. June was more about community and LinkedIn. May, we went into Facebook, and you can see kind of each month we have a theme. So we do coffee with Katie each and every week. I have to say the folks who get the most out of the Academy tend to tune into Coffee with Katie as much as possible, because it's a great accountability. A lot of our members will just put it on their calendar every Monday. If they can tune in, maybe even if they're multitasking, they can listen in. If some members can't, maybe if they have a prior commitment, they usually will get the recording and then listen to it later or that next day. But all of the recordings are right here. So if for some reason you missed a Coffee with Katie, you could always go back. So for example, what we did, our most recent Coffee with Katie was right here, how to take one piece of content and turn it into 10. This is one of my favorite topics. Again, work smarter, not harder, right? So you can see that was about an hour-long training, and then our members can watch that at their leisure. They can watch it on their phone or tablet or computer. And then we always have downloads that go with each lesson too. So you can see that that is available right there. And we always let our members know, through email and whatnot, what's coming up. So again, you can, basically as soon as you get to become a member, we'll send you your username and password. You can log in, and some members will scroll through. And if there's something specific that you really need help with, maybe you really want to start a YouTube channel. Maybe you've really been thinking about Instagram. Maybe you've been thinking about AI, whatever it might be. Most likely we have training on that, and you can always email me and say, hey, I'm looking for this, and we've got it. Now, keep in mind, again, I always do our training with the eye of, I don't think an agent needs to know everything, right? I think that they need to know the most important things to move the needle forward. So that's something that is really important to us. So as a member, you get access to our monthly master classes and those Coffee with Katie's, which is great as far as training. And then the other thing that our members really like is we have a monthly content calendar. We provide all of our members every month to just keep it simple. So for example, you can see if you click here, this is our September content calendar. And again, all these things can be sold or are sold separately. If you go into our store on our website, you'll see they're sold separately, but as a member, you just get access to everything. So you don't have to pay for things separately. So with our September content calendar, you can see what it looks like right here. There's lots of prompts, there's community ideas, story ideas, video ideas. And then we have a whole content calendar with different ideas, as well as exclusive Canva templates. Every month, you'll always get about 15 or 20 new templates, which make it really easy for you to create content quickly and easily and be done. So for example, I'll just click on one of them right here. Let's say you wanted to do this one, buying a home in September. When you click on any one of these, it's going to take you to Canva. You can have a free account with Canva or paid. So either one, it'll work with either type of account. And then you're going to click that, and it's going to bring it right into your Canva. And you can see it's all filled out. So you could scroll through it and go, okay, this is great. If you like this, perfect. You can save it and then post it to Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn or wherever. But this is also a template, so you can go in and you can customize it. If you wanted to customize it for your market area, if you wanted to change out the photo or something like that, you could certainly do that as well. So you've got those options. But again, just try to kind of keep it really simple. So that is something we offer every single month. Again, ideas, story ideas, video content ideas. And the way a lot of agents use this is they will print this up we usually release it at the end of the month. So it's not September yet, but you can see the calendars right here. So a lot of our members this last week are thinking ahead to next month and thinking, okay, what do I have coming up? What kind of content do I want to have planned? And then how does this fit into it? Which is honestly a big thing that we talk about in the academy, is like thinking ahead. Doesn't mean you have to set it and forget it. Doesn't mean you're going to, schedule everything and not think about it, but thinking ahead. I love to do this kind of at the end of the month, or sometimes in the middle of the month. I'll think ahead and be like, what's coming up? And then you can really map out your plan. And then there's a sheet here, just really easy step by step on how to use that. Okay, let me go back here. And then the other thing that's also included in the Academy as a member is you get access to all of our templates. So not only do we have our Coffee with Katie and our master classes and the content calendar, but then we actually have a whole library of Canva templates, which I just wanted to show you really quick. There might be some of you who are paying for other services where you're getting Canva templates. So a lot of people like in the Academy that once they sign up, if they've got Canva templates they're paying for like somewhere else, they can keep that, I guess, if they'd like. But we also offer that too. So it's nice. You're getting training as well as Canva templates. So we have a whole library of templates, from reviews to just listed, just sold. We also offer captions. So if you're like, need some help writing captions, you can always copy and paste. And then of course, add your own 2 cents. Seller tips, buyer tips, homeowner tips, community tips. And then there's different graphics and templates for every single month. So standalone graphics, we also have Reels and TikTok templates and Facebook cover photos, all kinds of good stuff. So just try to keep it easy for you. Again, at the end of the day, I don't think anyone got into real estate to become a social media designer, right? So we want to keep it really simple. Okay. Let me know what you think so far. So far, so good. Let me know in the chat, yes or no. So far, so good. Let me know if you have any questions so far about anything that we have covered. And again, I'm going to go into pricing and all that in just a second. I wanted to also share really quick. I mentioned earlier that there's a number of different folks that we've worked with over the years. And actually, before I even share this, let me go back to the Academy really quick, because one thing that I think is really valuable is our community. We have a really fantastic community. We have a private Facebook group for our Get Social Smart members. This is going to load here in just a second, hopefully. There we go. And you can see we've got about 650 members. We've got a really great community of folks from all over the world, all different brokerages. And I often feel like people join the Academy for our training, our Canva templates, our content calendars, but they stay a long time because of our community. This is really a great place where people can ask questions. They can, pick my brain. They can collaborate. And I think one of the things I really love, at the risk of sounding corny, I really love that a lot of the folks who are in our academy are very much relationship focused. It's not necessarily transaction focused. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but I just love that. I feel like we've really sort of attracted a great group of people who are really focused on the long term, on the relationship part of business, which is great. So that being said, that kind of is a good segue for me to share. I just want to share a couple quick success stories, because one of the things I said in the beginning is I really don't think it should be a one size fits all when it comes to social media. When I look at people who have been in our academy for a long time, they all have very different business models. And it's been so cool to see them take and learn from us and what we've taught, and really be able to adapt that for their business and something that feels really good for them. Pam Stair is a really great example. She is actually in the mortgage business. She's a lender. Most of the folks in our academy are in real estate, but she happens to be one of our lender clients. And one of the things I think is really cool about her, she wrote a whole bunch in here, but I want to kind of call your attention to the kind of the very bottom. She says, once I started really participating in the academy in a committed way and applying what I was learning, I saw a rise in my visibility and an impact on my business. And that, I think, is super important. I think so many people are looking for like the magic solution, the magic button. But a big part of what we teach is how you can implement it yourself, right? How can you implement it yourself? And I was just chatting with her recently over the weekend. She was cranking out her email newsletters. One of the new things that she's really developed is a strong database because, again, social media is rented ground. So she started to really incorporate a great monthly newsletter. The other thing that I love about what Pam's doing, Pam is someone who is not quite really comfortable showing up a ton on camera, which is fine. But she's really incorporated a lot of her expertise into the written word. She's doing a lot of great stuff on LinkedIn. She's got some great graphics and content she's putting out on Instagram, as well as YouTube. And so really kind of finding her space in a place that works for her. And it's really been awesome to see how it's impacted her visibility and her business. Joe Mendez is another great example. He is a realtor in Southern California in the Long Beach area. He's with Coldwell Banker. And it's been really fun to see him adapt as well. He does something called Cup of Joe, right? Because his name's Joe, Cup of Joe. So it's kind of similar to Coffee with Katie. And it's been really fun to see him develop and grow as well. One of the things he said at the bottom, I'll just kind of go to the very bottom of what he said. He says, she is everywhere on the net. Because of that, I get to witness what she preaches. And I learn by seeing and doing. She's the best I've found as a realtor on social media education. I think that first part, I think, is really important. I am just a big believer that you should walk the walk and talk the talk. I think a lot of things our Academy members like is that when they are working with me, they're working with me. They're not working with someone else or some other coach or anything like that. They're working with me. And I'm also, again, walking the walk and talking the talk in terms of social media and content. I'm always trying to be kind of my own best guinea pig in terms of what works and what doesn't work. And I often will be very transparent and share in our Academy, hey, this is what I'm trying, this is what I'm doing, and here's why, right? Another quick success story, Nancy Hodge is great. She's been in our Academy a long time. And I love what she says here. She says, I've spent countless dollars on coaching, landing pages, websites. Within 3 weeks of signing up with Katie Lance, I gained 2 new clients and learned about batching content. I'm on vacation and I've batched content for the time I'm gone. Thank you. And I love that. It goes back to my philosophy that I said in the beginning: work hard, play hard. Nobody wants to be on vacation, taking their laptop, trying to do everything that they got to do with social media. Now, you might be doing that because you've got a client in escrow and you just, you have to for whatever reason. But I think it's so valuable to be able to think about batching content, which, if you've never done that before, it's this idea of creating content all in one sitting, taking some time to create kind of put some content in the can, so to speak, giving your future self the gift of content because you've taken time, maybe an hour to record a bunch of stuff. So you're good to go for the future. But it's all about systems. And I often find with social media, it becomes the one thing in a lot of agents' lives that's not systematized. You've got systems for onboarding or systems for transactions. You've got, kind of a system for how you treat, your home life with your kids and family. And then social media kind of becomes kind of this bolt on where you bolt it on when you think about it, right? Versus actually having it part of your strategy, which I'm just a big, big believer in. So I want to kind of share really quick a couple other things. A lot of people ask me, like, how is the Academy different? I think one of the big things that's different is it's focused on real estate. I've been in the real estate industry for 20 years. I got my start in the real estate industry, literally 20 years ago, 2005, which is crazy that 2005 was 20 years ago. That was just a few years ago, right? But real estate specific. And a lot of people will say to me, oh, Katie, what you teach could apply to a lot of different industries, which it could. But again, this goes back to, I think people want to work with people who are experts in their field. I don't necessarily want to work with the realtor that could do it all. I want to work with the one who's very specific to what I need, right? So real estate specific. The second thing is ongoing personalized support. When you join our Academy family, you'll be working with myself or even my husband and my business partner, Paul. We're very much involved. You can always email me directly. I don't have anyone else answering my email. It's me. And so I think being able to get that personalized attention, as well as attention through our Facebook group. Again, we have a great community as well. And then that supportive community. It's amazing. Anytime we have new members, we always have our older members who are like, hey, welcome. There's again, the collaboration, I think is pretty awesome. So something we're really excited about. And you can see a couple other success stories here on the screen. Leslie Beck, been a longtime member. She's out in Denver. She says, the Academy is seriously your one and done solution. Katie Lance has all the information on social media, checklist, tutorial. You can have peace of mind knowing you're not chasing the next social media guru. Les is a great example of someone to follow. She's really evolved her social media strategy. She discovered probably about a year or two ago that she had a big heart for serving women going through a divorce. She's very candid about this. And it's such a special niche for her that she's been able to really adapt what she does with classes, with social media, with how she communicates. And she's really been able to really, again, lean into that, which has been amazing. Susie Nelson Crowley, she's out in Tampa. She has been a member for a long time also. She says, I've been in real estate for 17 years, experienced a bunch of training. I can wholeheartedly say that Katie's Get Social Smart Academy programs are some of the best. And again, I think Susie's been able to adapt what she wants to do. She's got kind of on the tail end of her business, getting ready to retire, doing a ton of traveling. So like, how does social media fit into that? Right. To, bring in that sustained extra income as she goes kind of through that transition in her life, in her career. So I want to share just some pricing and a quick exciting thing we're doing right now. So I want to kind of share a special offer, and then I'm going to get into the top 10 fall social media strategies that we are teaching and that we're employing. So, but let me share this first. So one of the reasons we are excited to do this today is we wanted to just share a really special offer. We're really excited about the Academy, especially recently. We've seen so many folks, especially in this market. It's a really tough market for a lot of folks. And it's been really rewarding to see people who are really leaning into training, to, sharpening their saw, and to see the success they've had. So I thought, you know what, let's do a demo where we're talking about the Academy, to kind of share what it is and what's included. So especially if you've been following me for any period of time and have been wondering, like, what's included? Is it for me? That's one of the reasons why I wanted to host this today. So our Academy is normally $99 a month or $9.99 for the year, but we are bringing back just today and tomorrow, just for you guys. You're not going to see this publicly. This is only for you guys who are attending this today. A very special offer. It's our Black Friday in July, which is now it's August. So we've extended it a couple more days. It's only $49 a month. It's again regularly $99 a month or $4.99 for the year, which is a pretty incredible deal. It's usually only a deal that we offer around Black Friday. It's basically half off. And you're also locked into that rate as long as you're a member. So it doesn't go up. So for example, if you sign up at the $49 a month rate today, and you're a member next month and the month after, the month after, the month after, and the month after, you will still pay that rate. Your rate will not go up as long as you're a member. So if you've been on the fence a while, thinking about it, it's a great time to get signed up because you're going to save a lot of money. Or if you prefer just to sign up at the yearly rate and be like locked and loaded for the year, we would love to have you also. And that is a one-time fee of $4.99. So there's a QR code on your screen. You can take out your phone and scan that. Or if you are a place where you can't scan that, or if that's not working, you can just go to katielance.com/academy. And I'm going to put that link in the chat here for you, so you guys can have that link. And when you go to that link, you'll see a bunch of information about the Academy. You can choose monthly or yearly. Also, I have two special bonuses for you. So not only are you saving basically 50%, you're going to get two bonuses. So I actually was hoping I'd have this in front of me. I'm going to turn around here and grab this off my bookshelf. So bonus number one, I'm going to send you a copy of my 18-month planner. You can get a print copy or digital. I know some of you like print, some of you like digital. I'm happy to send either one. So it's about 130 pages. It's an 18-month undated planner. And it's chock full of ideas and all kinds of awesome stuff. So that has a value of $29.99. You'll get that sent to you for free. And then you'll also get access to our content strategy masterclass that's coming up Wednesday. That's a $79 value. If you can attend live, great. If you can't, you'll still get the recording. You'll still get the workbook and all the materials. And that's, again, a $79 value. So we're really excited about that. Let me know if you have any questions about that so far. And then we're going to get into some of those fall strategies and fall tips. I would also love to know, just really quick, since I've got the planner here really quick, when you guys have a planner, do you prefer a printed planner or do you prefer digital? Let me know in the chat. Like, what do you normally use just in your day-to-day? Or do you use both? I use both. But let me know if you prefer printed or digital. I'm just curious. I use both. The only key to using both is when you use both, you have to remember to update both, which is the key. I have found with our Academy family that a lot of them like to use this planner when they're mapping out their plan. Like, for example, we are coming into September. So now is a great time to look at the month of September. And these pages, by the way, I'll just show you really fast. Like, you get a blank calendar. And then you also have at the bottom a bunch of ideas, which is kind of fun. And then you have a weekly blank slate where you can talk about your content. If you've got listings coming up, you can add those in there, which is kind of cool. And then there's also a whole bunch of other ideas. So we keep it really simple. That's a big thing. So yeah, let me know if you prefer printed or digital. Both. Someone says printed. There is something about pen and paper. I don't know if you guys feel that way. I feel like there's something about pen and paper that I love. Like I love with this, I'll like get out my highlighters, my Sharpies. Talisha says, you offer the planner to existing members. My Realtor never shared. Oh, yeah, absolutely, Talisha. If you, I can't remember if you are a current member. But yeah, feel free to message me. You can email me and I'm happy to send you one. Barbara says printed. I love paper and pens. Yes. If you know me, you know I love school supplies. So yes, I love paper and pen for sure. Okay. So awesome. Let me know if you have any questions about that. Again, just would absolutely love if you have been following me for any period of time, looking to take things to the next level. Now is definitely a good time to do it, especially as you think about the fall. The fall is a really interesting time. Labor Day is right around the corner if you're here in the US. And it's such a great time to really set yourself up for success. The holidays are always a unique time, but I think it's always a great time to really plan ahead for next year. A big focus that we have in the Academy for the fall is like getting your ducks in a row for next year and what that looks like. I can't believe we're almost at Labor Day, Talisha. I feel the same way. Okay, so let's get into some 10 smart fall social media strategy tips. I'm excited to share these with you. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to put these in the chat. So the first thing that I think you should focus on, and that we're teaching in the Academy, number one, post what makes you happy. Post what makes you happy. I think there's a lot of people who are like, do this, don't do this, do this, don't do this. And you sort of feel like this analysis paralysis. Okay. If you've ever felt that way, let me know. I would imagine you probably have. But post what makes you happy. You see a beautiful sunset, it makes you smile, post that. I post my coffee every morning because I love coffee. I have a coffee cup collection. I will often post about Broadway, as I mentioned, because that makes me happy. It doesn't always have to be about business. We do business with people we know, like, and trust and relate to. Doesn't mean we have to post every moment of our life. I don't want to see that, but post what makes you happy. I think that's what makes you really relatable too. And this is the difference between you showing up versus like you hiring someone to do it all for you, right? I'm sure you guys have seen a lot of realtors. You probably have friends that have someone who like does it all for them, which in theory sounds great, but then that person is never actually like on social or engaging, right? We have a lot of people who come to the Academy who've said things like, Katie, I've paid somebody or a company to post for me for years and it was fine, but I didn't really get a lot out of it. A lot of it didn't seem like it was really meant for me. And that happens. So I think, again, you don't have to post every single day, you don't have to be everywhere, but sprinkling in things that make you smile, things that make you happy, a great book you're reading, something interesting you're watching on TV. Again, I think it just sort of speaks to the know, like, and trust factor. Not everything has to be about business, right? If that makes sense. Review what's worked this year and what hasn't. As we get into the end of August, and yes, Labor Day is around the corner, this is a great time to look at your analytics. This is something we're going to be doing inside the Academy a lot this fall. Looking at your Meta Business Suite, looking at your analytics if you've got a YouTube channel, looking at your analytics on Instagram or Facebook. What's working, what's not working, and not what's worked 2 years ago, but what's working recently, and how can we double down on that, right? Which I think is important. Giving your future self the gift of content in the can, I think is really valuable. For me, fall is a very busy time. We call it cake season in our house because all of our birthdays happen within like a 4-week period of time. It's me, my husband, my 2 kids, our anniversary, a lot is happening. And so the fall is a busy time in general for us. And so the fall might be busy for you or not busy, but regardless, I always say give yourself the gift of your future self by having some content in the can. You want to move from, oh, I haven't posted anything in a while, I guess I should post something. What should I post? To, awesome, I've got five videos that are ready to go. Which one is the most appropriate? I should post today. Cool. Or, which one should I schedule today? Whatever it might be, but just giving your future self some of that content. And then that goes to setting up a schedule for how to do that. I recommend for most agents, set aside 1 or 2 hours a month where you're going to create some content. I always feel like if I'm going to do my hair and makeup and record 1 video, I better record like 5, right? So set aside some time where you're going to create, and then set aside some time where you're going to post as well. Don't save all your content in drafts. If you've been on social media a while, you know that you can save content, especially on Instagram and TikTok. You could save it in the drafts. There's nothing wrong with saving some stuff. I have a couple things saved in drafts, but if you're inspired, if something is like, top of mind, record it, post it. I always say done is better than perfect. Done is better than perfect. So record it, get it posted, even if it's not perfect. I think we sometimes think, well, I don't want to post too much. I honestly don't think there's necessarily too much unless you're someone who's posting like, 20 times a day. Don't do that. I don't think anybody's doing that. But we don't see all the content. So the more you do put out there, the more likelihood people are going to see it. Not only that, again, social media is rented ground. If you've got a bunch of content saved on Instagram and your app crashes, all of that content is gone. So you want to get into the habit of saving it. I like to save it. I have a folder on my phone for some of my content, but I also have a folder on my computer for content as well. Routines are your friend. I'm just telling you, routines are your friend. Just like you have a routine of brushing your teeth, you have a routine of checking your email. We would never say, oh gosh, I'm checking my email too much, or I'm only going to check it once a day. Get yourself into the habit of filming, editing, posting, whether that's again, once a week, once a month, a couple times a week, rinse and repeat, getting yourself into a habit. It just makes a huge, huge difference. Um, Amy says, I have so much saved to my phone. I have to get a drive. Katie, I'm currently coming across your information in my screenshots. I've been following you for a long time. Oh my goodness. That's awesome. I love it. I love it. Yeah, the screenshot folder is crazy. I know for me, like that's a big thing I've been trying to do, and I'm going to be focused on this fall is like a little bit of a digital cleanup, cleaning up the camera roll. I'm a big believer in like folders, albums. And yes, I actually save a lot of my stuff to like Google Drive or Dropbox. So one little tip, I'm actually going to share more of this in our content strategy masterclass on Wednesday. If you sign up to be a member or if you are, going to be attending that, I think it's important to have a system of where to back up your content and to get it off your phone. So for me, once a month, I take my video content and I dump it in. I have a Dropbox folder. Just get it off my phone, dump it in there. That way it's all in one place. That way I can access it if I want to repost it down the line or something like that. But thanks for chiming in, Amy. And I love how she says Amy Rockstar Jacobs. That's fantastic. I feel like I need to change my name to Katie Rockstar Lance. That is amazing. Oh, you're awesome. Post on Instagram. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Okay, next fall strategy. Use ChatGPT or whatever AI you're using. Some of you are using Claude, some of you are using Gemini, some of you are using Perplexity, Copilot, whatever your AI tool that you are using. I recommend using it, but always edit. And I think that goes without saying, right? I think we've come to the point. I mean, AI really started to make a big impact in late 2022. We are now in 2025. It's been almost 3 years, which is kind of crazy. So I think we are beyond just like copy and pasting. We know this, but it's so important. I think we all have that AI radar, right? Wouldn't you agree? Can't you tell when something's AI? When you read something, you're like, yeah, ChatGPT wrote this. Like, if you've ever felt this way, please let me know yes or no in the chat. I know I have. Like, I see it all day long. I'll scroll Instagram and I'm like, yeah, ChatGPT wrote that. You do not sound like that. Right? It's because I know that person. I was like, yeah, you didn't write that. So use it. It's a big time saver, but you have to remember to edit it to make it sound like yourself, or at a minimum, customize it. Like on the back end of ChatGPT or most AI platforms, you can go to the back end and customize and say, hey, I talk more like this. I don't usually use these kind of words, right? And customizing it. Not to mention fair housing, but that's super important. Craig says, yep, yes, right? We can all tell that. And no amount of automation can replace you showing up. One of the big things we're seeing with AI, and we're doing a lot of training on AI, obviously there's all kinds of cool things you can do, lots of automation, lots of time-saving stuff. In my opinion, it will never replace you showing up. It'll never replace you connecting. It'll never replace you taking 5 minutes a day to scroll through your feed, to like, to comment, to interact, to be a good finder, to go, oh my gosh, it's Craig's birthday. I'm going to call him. Like, maybe at some point AI will do that, but that is where I think there's a huge opportunity for realtors, right? And a lot of people will ask me about AI. I think AI is awesome, but I also think when you think about real estate, it is the single biggest financial decision of most people's lives, right? So there's a huge trust factor there when we're talking about that type of relationship. And that's why I'm just so passionate about helping agents come up with a plan that works for them, but also making sure that they are showing up. Maybe it's 5 or 10 minutes a day, but you're the one responding to your DMs. You're the one responding to comments. You're the one scrolling through and going, oh my gosh, Susie is doing something really cool through her Rotary Club. Like, I'm going to share that out. That's awesome. Or I'm going to give so and so a shout out. Like, their wife is a teacher. That's fantastic. Like, let's help out that teacher. Like, being a good finder, being a noticer, I think is so important. Which leads me to my second one, being a good finder. People often ask me, like, what to post. So we've got content calendars, we've got ideas. But if anything, even if you don't decide to work with us, an easy thing I would recommend that you could do today is be a good finder, meaning scroll through your feed, take a couple minutes, and look for somebody doing something really good. It's not going to take long because everybody likes to brag, right? Everyone's like, I got a job promotion, I got this award, I'm moving my kids into college. So take a few minutes and leave a meaningful comment. A meaningful comment is a comment that's at least 4 words. 4 words. So not just like, congrats, that's awesome, great pick. Maybe say something like, oh my gosh, Katie, that is so awesome. You're moving your kids in to college. That dorm room looks amazing. Thinking about you. Are you doing okay? Like, saying something meaningful, right? Maybe even sending them a private message, right? It's just a little thing that makes a big difference. I mentioned earlier, I have 2 teenage boys, and I'm always telling them to be a noticer, notice what's happening in the world around them. Thank you, Barbara. I really appreciate that. I just think it's so, so valuable. Again, not everything has to be like, hey, by the way, I'm a realtor. It can just be a good person. And then, oh, by the way, yeah, and I also happen to be a rock star at what I do, right? So be a good finder. Focus 5, always and forever. I'm sure some of you have heard me say this, but if you haven't heard me say it, I want to share this quick tip. Focus 5 is this simple idea of scroll through your feed. Doesn't matter what platform, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. Scroll through and you're going to pick 5 posts or 5 videos that really speak to you, that make you smile, that make you laugh, that are interesting, and you're going to leave a meaningful comment. Again, a meaningful comment's at least 4 words. So not just a like, not just a quick little word, but like actually say something meaningful. And ideally, you want to do this with people that you're friends with, or people who are clients or past clients, people that you're connected to. But part of why that makes it really valuable is social media is a conversation. It's not just a one-way street. Have you ever noticed on Facebook or Instagram, when you're scrolling, you're not just seeing content from today, you're seeing content from 5 days ago, 3 days ago, a week ago, and you're like, why? It's because there's still a conversation happening in the comments. There's still a conversation happening in the comments. So if you want to post something today, maybe you've got a new listing this week. Awesome. Well, before you post that news listing, take 5 minutes, scroll through your feed, like, comment, engage with at least 5 posts. Go back to some of your recent posts. If you posted something this weekend, if you had comments, comment back, and then post what you're going to post. It's going to help that newer content do even better. Plus, it's just a good human thing to do, right? And then the last thing that I think is really important is diversify your platforms. So I do think you don't have to be everywhere. You don't have to be on 12 different places, but pick a couple and diversify. So a lot of people are on Facebook and Instagram. Because they're both owned by Meta, I would encourage you to have another platform that you're going to also focus on. So maybe it's Facebook and LinkedIn, maybe it's Instagram and YouTube. I would recommend having a couple different places. Again, that way your eggs are not all in one basket. If something happens, your account gets hacked, that site goes down, you don't want to be like, oh my gosh, my whole community was there. Okay. Let me know what you think. Is this helpful? Let me know in the chat, yes or no, if this is helpful. Would love your feedback. And then let me know if you have any questions so far. We've got about 5 minutes left. And I'm happy to answer any other questions you guys have. Ultimately, at the end of the day, our whole philosophy is the more you learn, the more you earn, right? You've never like gotten to the top. You're like, I'm here, right? I always think that you learn, you can get better, which is so huge. Felicia says, so helpful. Awesome. Christy says, yes, for sure. Thank you. Meta is so simple, but want to expand into YouTube. Yes. And I really encourage that. YouTube is very different than Meta in a lot of ways, but YouTube is the #2 search engine in the world. It's owned by Google. And we've been on YouTube for about a decade, and it's grown, it's changed a lot, but it's really powerful in a lot of ways. I was talking about in the beginning, making sure you're showing up when you get Googled, like how do you get in that AI search? And YouTube is a big, big piece of that. Um, oh, good. Laylene, thank you. Hopefully I'm saying your name right. Easy, but another job. Yeah, you have to make time. Yeah, it's just like anything else. It is easy, but you have to make time. And it's like what I always say, anything that's important to you, you're going to make time for. So, especially if you're at the beginning stages, it might take a little bit more time because you're at the beginning, right? It's like it's like when you first became a realtor. If any of you are new to real estate, you know when you got licensed, you were licensed, but you didn't really know what you were doing. Like think of all the hours you spent like learning and the classes and everything, and maybe shadowing another agent before you ever got your first deal. And so it's kind of in some ways the same thing with social media. In the very beginning, you kind of have to immerse yourself in training and learning, but also doing. There's nothing like picking up your phone and like pushing the buttons, doing it, seeing yourself on camera. It's like a muscle. The more you do it in the very beginning, it's like, it takes forever. But the more you do it, the better you get, the faster you get. And the more you develop your own sense of style of what you like and what you don't like, which is key. So, like I said earlier, and this is a great thing to take a picture of, to save to your camera roll, to add to your camera roll. Done is better than perfect, right? You've come up with we've talked about a lot of ideas today. I would encourage you to pick one or two things and implement those immediately. Don't suffer from analysis paralysis, right? Done is better than perfect. So the last thing I would love to say is, again, would absolutely love to work with you. If you're not yet part of our Academy family and you like my style, you like how I come across, you're ready to take things to the next level, if you're tired of like feeling like this is taking too much time, if you feel like you're just getting frustrated because of the algorithms and people aren't seeing your content, if you would like some help once and for all, I would I would love to work with you. I would love for you to join our Academy family. So I'll put the link in the chat one more time. It's katielance.com/academy. Again, you can sign up monthly or yearly. The sale goes for today and tomorrow. And again, it's not public, it's just for you guys. It's normally $99 a month or $9.99 for the year. The sale price is only $49 a month or $4.99 for the year. And you're locked into that rate as long as you're a member. So if you're a member 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 10 years, whatever. Also, as a bonus, again, you're going to receive the planner, and those I can already see a lot of you signed up, which is awesome. So we will email you probably in the next day or so and ask you if you want the printed version. We'll send you a printed if you want printed, or if you prefer digital, we'll send that to you also. And then secondly, you'll receive access to our content strategy masterclass, which is on Wednesday. So whether you can attend live or not, you'll still get access to that. And that's a $79 value. Let me go ahead and just share with you also really quick. When you go to katielance.com/academy, it's going to look like this. So you can scroll through, you'll see pictures of me and what's included, but you can see here the two different options. So in terms of what's included, it's exactly the same with both options. Whether you sign up monthly or yearly, you still get the weekly live training with me, Coffee with Katie, the master classes, the monthly content calendars, templates, and everything on our private support group. It's a little bit of a better value if you sign up yearly, but it's totally up to you. So if you want to sign up monthly, this is the button that you would push. You can see how it's regularly $99 a month. And then when we're doing the Black Friday in July, which is really August, we're extending that a couple more days. So let me put that in the chat here for you. Let me grab that link, and I'm just going to put that in the chat. So this is the code for monthly. And then if I go back here, this is the link for yearly. So just to make it easy, if you're just looking for like a direct cart link. And then if you scroll down, you'll see everything that's included. Okay. If you have other questions, you can always email me directly. I'm going to put my email in the chat, katie@katielance.com. Again, I answer my own email, so happy to answer anything that you might have. Okay, last closing thoughts as we wrap up. We are at that hour mark. I wanted to just share a couple closing thoughts. I reached out to our Academy over the weekend to ask some thoughts from them on how they think about the Academy. You can see I had a little survey go out. I said, how has it impacted your business? And there's two people I just wanted to share their answer with because I thought it was really cool. One gal said, the Academy's helped me immensely. I've learned how to create in Canva and how to make videos, even though I'm still lacking some confidence in making them. I'm doing it. And I love that because I think the reality is a lot of folks, I don't know if you can relate to this, but I think a lot of folks are not the most confident seeing themselves, hearing themselves, getting on camera. We've heard from a million people over the years to get on camera. And so the fact that we can help people with their confidence just do it and do it in a way that feels good to them is really, really satisfying. And then the other person, another person who commented, she said, all the helpful hints on things that are relevant today. I don't utilize near all the things I should, but every week I try just one more thing. And I thought that was such great advice. Like, don't try to do everything, just do one more thing. I've got big goals for next year. Recently, I've really appreciated the post ideas. The people that Katie surrounds herself with are exactly the people I want to refer business to. Such a great group. And really, that's kind of my last closing thought is like who you surround yourself with matters. I think it's important. It's like what I said earlier. I'm not trying to be everyone's cup of tea. Perhaps I'm someone's shot of tequila, right? Lean into who you are and who you're not. And whether you choose to work with us or not, I think it's important to work with people that align with how you think about business, your values and all that good stuff. So just think that's super important. All right, my friends, would love to answer any other questions you have, but I want to be respectful of your time. So with that being said, I'm going to stay on for another, minute or so. If you have any other questions, let me know in the chat. What did you think of today? Let me know what your thoughts are. Did you enjoy this? Would love to hear from you. Let me know yes or no in the chat. If you enjoyed this, would love your feedback. And again, at the risk of sounding corny, I always like to let people know how much I really do love this industry. People have asked me many times over the years, like, why do I specialize in real estate? And I mentioned in the very beginning that I started working in real estate 20 years ago. My first job in real estate, I was working for a local real estate company. I was hired for kind of to be their marketing manager. And I quickly really fell in love with real estate. I saw how hard realtors worked. I saw, the 27 hats that most realtors wore. And I really kind of fell in love with the entrepreneurial spirit of a realtor. There's no one that I know that works harder for their clients than a realtor. They're the ones who are showing up at closing. They're the ones who are showing up with the keys or showing up with the champagne. Like they fight so hard. You fight so hard for your clients, and you really understand that for most people, it really is one of the biggest moments of their lives. It's often right up there with like getting married or having kids. And so it's really an honor for me to be a piece of that puzzle. And I just love working with realtors. I think there's something really special about that entrepreneurial spirit. So if that resonates with you, I would love to work with you and to have you part of our Academy family. So again, go to katielance.com/Academy. Get signed up. If you have questions, you can email me. I'm happy to answer any other questions you have. I see a couple things come through in the chat. Oh, thank you, Rosa. Wendy, yes, you will receive the recording. We'll send that out probably as soon as possible in the next hour or two. Once we go off the air, Zoom takes a little bit to like render, but yeah, we will send that out to you this afternoon. So you should get that in just a couple hours. Yes, Rick, we will be sending that replay out. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, thank you, Wendy, for sure. Yeah, Rick, you should probably get it in about an hour or two. So check your inbox. Make sure with our email, by the way, sometimes our email goes to, in your email, sometimes you have different tabs, like you have a promotions tab or sales tab. If you don't see it in your inbox, do a search. It's often in another inbox or another part of your email. It helps tremendously to move our emails directly to your inbox. That way you're always getting them in your inbox, which is important. Especially for those of you who sign up for the Academy, we communicate a lot through email. So you want to make sure you're getting what you paid for in your inbox for sure. Okay, Craig, thank you so much. Yeah, my pleasure. Edward said, would a property management company benefit from your program? Yeah, actually, we do have some folks who are in property management. The majority of the people who are in the Academy are realtors. However, we do have some folks who are in mortgage, lending, staging, property management for sure. Yeah, 100%. In fact, I can connect you with one of our longtime members who has a great property management company and is also a broker. So he does property management and also residential sales. So yeah, for sure. Thank you, Sybil. All right, guys, thank you so much for being with me today. If you have any questions, feel free to email me, katie@katielance.com. I hope to see you part of our Academy family, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Cheers to you, and we'll talk to you real soon. Check your email later. We'll send out that recording. All right, everyone, have a great day. Bye for now.